Have you ever noticed how loud eating has become? Not in sound, but in spirit. The noise isn't the crunch of chips or the clatter of forks. It's the noise inside you, the mental clutter that hums even as you chew. You scroll through your phone, half reading headlines, half thinking about unfinished tasks. You're eating, but not tasting. You're swallowing, but not sensing. You're feeding your body while starving your awareness. It's a strange paradox of our time. Food everywhere, connection nowhere. Once upon a time, meals were sacred. Families gathered, conversations unfolded, gratitude flowed. Now we multitask our way through nourishment. One eye on our meal, the other on our messages. We eat quickly, unconsciously, and wonder later why we feel so restless, so unsatisfied. Here's the truth. Every distracted meal trains your brain to associate food with stress, not safety. And every mindful meal teaches your brain the opposite, that nourishment can be peace, that hunger can be honored, and that control doesn't come from restriction, but from awareness. Mindful eating isn't some lofty spiritual trend. It's a form of therapy, a recalibration of attention. Every time you return your focus to your plate, your breath, your senses, you are telling your nervous system, I'm here now, I'm safe, I can slow down. Let's explore the science behind this calm. Your brain and gut are not distant relatives. They are best friends connected by the vagus nerve, a superhighway of communication running from your brainstem to your belly. This connection forms the gut-brain axis. When you're anxious, the brain sends danger signals to your digestive system. The gut slows down, acid drops, enzymes weaken. You feel bloated, foggy, off balance. Now, imagine the opposite. When you breathe before eating, deeply, intentionally, you trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, also known as rest and digest. Heart rate drops, muscles relax, your body shifts from defense to digestion. Nutrient absorption improves, your metabolism evens out, and your mind starts syncing with your body. This isn't philosophy, it's neuroscience. Studies show that mindfulness literally alters your neural pathways. Regular mindful eaters display stronger connections between the prefrontal cortex, your logic and self-control center, and the amygdala, your fear and impulse hub. That means fewer binges, fewer cravings, and more stability. You begin to notice hunger cues early and fullness cues sooner. Think of it like reprogramming your operating system. Every calm meal updates your emotional software, teaching your brain to associate food not with guilt or chaos, but with clarity and compassion. And slowly, you realize you're not eating less, you're eating differently. Here's where it gets fascinating. Your gut and brain don't just communicate, they mirror each other. When your gut is inflamed, your thoughts feel cluttered. When your digestion is smooth, your emotions flow clearer. The microbes in your intestines, trillions of them, actually produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, the very chemicals that govern happiness, focus, and calm. So when you eat fast, or eat junk, or eat while stressed, those microbes react. They lose diversity, balance, and rhythm. The message that reaches your brain is distorted. You feel uneasy, fatigued, or even anxious, not realizing it started from your plate. But when you eat mindfully, slowing down, savoring textures, breathing between bites, your gut flora thrive. They sense safety, regulate hormones, and stabilize mood. You literally feel lighter, emotionally and physically. In that way, mindful eating becomes a feedback loop of healing. Calm thoughts improve digestion. Better digestion creates calm thoughts. Over time, your brain starts linking food not with loss of control, but with the restoration of it. That's the hidden miracle. You're not just eating food, you're feeding your mind new patterns of peace. Let's be honest, eating mindfully isn't easy. It's not as simple as putting your phone away or chewing slower. It's uncomfortable at first because presence exposes truth. When you really pay attention, you notice how often you eat from boredom, frustration, or habit rather than hunger. You notice how food becomes a filler for emotional space. But that's also where freedom begins. Mindful eating invites honesty. It asks, what am I actually hungry for? Maybe it's energy, maybe it's comfort, maybe it's silence. The act of noticing becomes the first step in healing. Start with something small, your next meal. Sit down, take one slow breath, and observe your food like it's the first time you've ever seen it. Notice the colors, the aroma, the texture. When you take a bite, chew slowly enough to feel how flavor shifts. You're not performing a ritual, you're coming home to your senses. With practice, eating becomes less mechanical and more musical, every bite in rhythm with your breath. You start realizing your body's intelligence, when to stop, what to crave, how to balance. And the beauty, that intelligence was always there, you just stopped listening. When you relearn the art of presence, food stops being the enemy and starts becoming your teacher. Let's zoom in on what happens over time. Your brain is constantly reshaping itself based on experience, a process called neuroplasticity. Every act of mindfulness strengthens certain circuits while pruning others. When you eat impulsively, the brain strengthens reward loops, quick pleasure, followed by regret. But when you eat with awareness, it strengthens regulation loops, calm decision-making, satisfaction, gratitude. Researchers have found that regular mindful eating decreases activity in the default mode network, the brain's autopilot system that fuels mindless habits and negative self-talk. You become more deliberate, more intuitive, more in sync with your needs. And the transformation doesn't stop there. Emotional regulation improves. Impulsive behavior in other areas, shopping, scrolling, reacting, softens too. Because mindfulness in one habit ripples into the rest of your life. You begin to notice your breath when angry, your body when tired, your tone when stressed. Soon, calm becomes your default setting, not forced, not faked, but earned through consistency. You realize control was never about discipline, it was about awareness. And the more aware you become, the less effort control requires. The truth is, your brain doesn't crave more food, it craves more peace. Mindful eating just happens to be the doorway. We often think transformation requires grand gestures, new diets, new routines, new identities. But mindful eating proves the opposite. Sometimes, the smallest pause creates the biggest shift. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's about turning off autopilot and returning to your body's wisdom. Each time you sit down, take that first mindful breath, you're participating in a quiet revolution, a rebellion against numbness, against speed, against disconnection. You begin to feel life again, in the crispness of an apple, the warmth of soup, the sweetness of stillness. Food becomes gratitude embodied. You start noticing how calm feels, not as something external, but as something you cultivate through choice. And maybe one day, you'll catch yourself smiling mid-meal, not because the food is perfect, but because you are finally present for it. That's the real rewiring, the shift from scarcity to sufficiency, from chaos to calm. Mindful eating doesn't just feed your body, it feeds your being. It reminds you that peace isn't something you earn, it's something you return to, one bite at a time. So start small, breathe, taste, feel, repeat. You'll discover that control was never lost, only forgotten in the noise. Because when you eat with awareness, you stop chasing calm, you start becoming it. Bam Suom. And if this story lit a spark inside you, share that light. Like, share, and subscribe to Vital Dynasty. Because this journey isn't about dieting, it's about remembering what it means to feel human again.